Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. Reports for the 21st of April. Well, actually, day ended kind of flat. A little bit post-market action has pushed things up a little bit. You can see forming a white NBI right there because of the dip of orange, the crossover, midterm buyers, the lifting up of long-term buyers here with the red DOC. All those are positive, as well as the magenta leading white, as well as above yellow and the crossover blue. So all those things that began right here at 50%, and then when we retested it the other day at 50% and started to move higher from there, have continued even into Wednesday's action. So all of that's fairly congruent. It kind of goes against the narrative, which is exactly typically the way the market trades. You get too many people all thinking that the sky is falling at the same time, and you've got a great opportunity to come against them. It's not that the sky isn't falling, it's just that you've got a great counter trade, and it's never going to be one directional simple. It's always back and forth until there's a real discovery that something has changed or different than before. Nasdaq weaker, below its 50% line, makes it very easy because above that 50% there at 14,105. Definitely long, but you can see the difference here. You don't have the magenta over white. White NBI is leading, so the shorts are in control in that situation, as well as the pivot lower. So you still have the same dip of DOC, so very different reading. Looking at that, you have more of a neutral position here from a overall standpoint as far as bias up or down. Becomes easy with the 50% mark, but even the fact that you get this dip but you're not getting the corresponding readings from the NBI reading, it's a bit more problematic. They can certainly turn around in it, but it's just expressing some weakness within this broader setup here from the NASDAQ point of view. So the S&P NASDAQ divergence right there, it's worth noting because it does have a play, because you'll get a movement back and forth, and if there's a strong move back up in the NASDAQ, that's really going to spur the S&P even more. But any continued fading could mute the S&P, and if the S&P is able to move on that, it's giving you an idea that the rotation is taking place out of tech into other areas, and that probably going to be a reflection of moving towards staples and things like that that are more in tune with either slowing or shrinking economies. You would typically want to go towards your more safe plays, so to speak. The euro bouncing back just a little bit there. It was nice clean from the other day, and don't expect it to go too far, but there's quite a run to the downside in a continuous motion. So this little short covering setup there, not completely surprising. Still, 1085, that was a pretty good move coming back up from that 17. So clearly there seems to be a defense pretty clearly about not wanting to let it get much lower than that. Will they be able to do it? That really is going to be a tough one, because the EU not in any better shape. Of course, you get the French election leading up to it, so that's going to be some positives because the expectation is that Macron will win. The question then becomes, per the articles, after he wins, do they go ahead and just ban Russian oil, and in which case does Russia then decide to demand gold in exchange for any sales to European partners? And that we don't know. They create some uncertainty. And with uncertainty, that always creates some jitters in the market. From a gold standpoint, it's still a net positive from that standpoint. It's completely reset as far as my configuration. We still have lower DOC readings and dip in the shakeout, but any turnaround here of this magenta certainly would lead to another buy run. And oil, looking weaker from that standpoint. You have NBI white leading, magenta heading straight down. It's still above yellow. That's a critical one when you get this kind of configuration. So I look for any potential pop-up there. I want to see that blue NBI come back below the gray, and that would confirm a continuation of the lower move. But again, oil still maintaining above 100. That's problematic from a price standpoint. A little bit of recovery for treasuries, and that little pop here from TLT. It's still within a pretty weak zone here, but clean MBI move above and minus 27. It's pretty extreme. Now, often with this kind of depth, though, you'll get a bounce back, but it usually fades until that shakeout the DOC red here moves back up towards that negative 13. Oftentimes, when you get this kind of depth, you just get a little bit of a move and a tip back to the 23%, and then it usually turns around from there. But a little bit of a relief rally from that standpoint. Bitcoin, after its bump up, had a couple of positive extremes, filling those back in from the upside move. There's still the broader one that was back over from the initial breakout. So that would be a secondary move back to the 39 range, which would be consistent with the lower end of what we've seen, and certainly an area that's been supported. So we've seen some nice support both from Ethereum as well as Bitcoin when it comes to some of these key algo levels that we've had from quite some time ago. This 33.5 has been here forever and keeps retesting and keep adding to its validity. So those are important things to note when looking at those. 50K had started that up move, and then we got into this muck of the MBI reading here below the 33 but above the 25, and just kind of seesawing back and forth, and that just creates that up and down movement that you see right there until it finally gave way a little bit below the 25 here with the spike up of white over red, and that led to a bit more of a dip, and then jumped right back above, and that's led to where we're at right now with the current increase. 5K, very active. I mean, we had some nice run-ups, creating some positive extremes within those setups, and that makes some clean because we revisited a lot of those. Spiked back up again, up against that resistance right here at the 44.81, then pushing right back down again to the 44.59. So clear, defined algo range was set up within there. A little bit later on in the day, broke down below that, but immediately fought back up to it in a little bit of a chaotic setup, but that was clean with the MBI magenta leading that turn as well, which ultimately created that green setup right there, which was consistent because you still had DOC green riding above cyan at that particular stage, and strong move of red above negative 13, and that literally kept it going for quite a while. And then we ended up with a little bit of weakness, pretty fast drop that started to take place there, and dipped just below that line, and then was fought right back up post-market. Market ended and literally shot up, did a couple of little things, but went straight up to the north side. So all in all, busy day. I missed all of that action, and but I will continue to update you on the Skype chat and indicate anything that's unique or special that's popping up. I think that the activity and the ranges that we're seeing are still pretty strong, pretty consistent, and really makes for some good movement. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later. See you on the Skype chat.